We have less than 2 weeks to this great day that we're looking forward to, Shavuos. And we're in the middle of the 6th week. Tonight we'll count Hayom Shtisha Shloshim Yom Shem Chamisha Shavuos V'Arba Yomim. Tonight we'll count 39 days, which are 5 weeks and 4 days to the Omer. So already in the 6th week we started already. And we're all anticipating, looking forward to the great day coming up. And the name of this week that we're working on, we want to discuss and try to elevate ourselves in this area, is called Yesod. As we have, doesn't say over here, Yesod. Oh, well, in the title we have Yesod. Yesod means foundation. What is the foundation of Judaism? Our mind, our intellect, our thoughts. The thoughts that we have are the foundation of the Jewish religion, naturally. And that is what we have to work on this week to perfect, to purify, to sanctify, to elevate our thoughts. And that's really according to the way we elevate our thoughts. That's how we elevate our actions and our feelings and our speech and so on. Because the brain is the foundation of everything about us. So the first one, there are a lot of different commandments. The Torah tells us that we have to perform, which are thoughts and ideas. Most of the Torah are actions, but the foundation of these actions are in the thoughts that we have, the ideas that we live with. The first one naturally is Mitzvah, the 25th Mitzvah in the Torah out of 613. Lahamin emunas b'Hashem, to believe that there is a God in the world, one God. That's number one. Hamid sheyesh la'olam Elokai echad, to believe that the world has one God, and that's the first part of that mitzvah. The number 2 part of the mitzvah is shehimtzi kol hanimtzoim, that he created everything that's found in the world. He created every molecule, every flea, every planet, every star, every grasshopper, every person, whatever we can imagine, he created. Nothing came by itself. Darwin is full of baloney. It's ridiculous, this whole theory of relativity, of his things came by itself. That makes such a ridiculous idea, philosophy. Everything by itself seems to come by itself. Like this room came by itself. After 1 million years, it came by itself. Nobody believed in the wildest dreams of such a theory. God created everything from top to bottom, from biggest to smallest. That's part of the first mitzvah on the 10 commandments. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And another part of that mitzvah is, number 3, they took us out of Egypt. Now that includes much more than it sounds like. What that's telling us, naturally we have to be grateful and appreciate that he did that for us, took us out of the bondage and the work on the servitude of Egypt, but it's telling us a much more broad idea. It's telling us Hashgacha Pratius. He's telling us that he is involved. We have in our, by saying this, he's telling us that he is totally involved in everybody's life and what goes on in the world. God did not create the world and say goodbye, do what you want. I gave you the opportunity. You want to kill yourself, give yourself. You want to be happy, be happy. It's up to you people. I'm on vacation, goodbye. That is not the case at all. God created the world, and ever since he created it, since Adam and Eve, he's totally involved with everybody. There's no person in the world that God's not involved with. Nobody that God doesn't know what he's doing, what he's thinking, what he's saying. Everybody is being watched and heard and seen by God. That's what it means. I took you out of Egypt. That means that I put you in there, I took you out of there, I make everything happen in the world. When the time came to leave, I took you out, and I made a lot of miracles for you, and I'd made everything that happened, it's in God's hands. This is all included in the first mitzvah. This is, according to the words of the Chinuch, I'm saying now, that this is the Yesod of Hados, of the Jewish religion. This work is Yesod, right? This week is Yesod, foundation. The Chinuch tells us this mitzvah of Emunah is the foundation of the Jewish religion. Because if we don't believe in a God, there's no Judaism. Don't believe that he created everything. Don't believe that he's watching everything. So then there's no religion. But it's all true. It's all part of that first mitzvah. So even though we live with this great mitzvah, number 25 in the Torah, but we have to think about it sometimes. It's so simple, we take it for granted. Of course there's a God. Of course he created everything. Of course he knows what's going on. But we have to not only to intellectually realize it, we have to feel it. Even the most pious person who keeps all the laws of the Torah and he's careful in what he sees and what he eats and what he talks about, he must realize and feel and live and be part of him, this mitzvah. Not just, of course I know it. Of course we know it. It's not enough to know it, but we have to live with it. God is here. Not just, he's someplace, he's a God. He's with us all the time. He's watching us, to feel it. That's this mitzvah. It's not just to have an idea, a thought, to know it, but to realize it, to live with it. And no matter how many times we talk about it and mention it, it's important to mention it again. Because we tend to forget. We're so involved with our lives, with everything going on around us, that we don't have this as a part of our living soul, that we're a living body, intellect. It becomes a theoretical thing. We want it to be real, to be with us all the time. And this is one of the mitzvahs a person can perform every second of one's life. Every second of our life, anytime we think about this, God's exists, creator, watches over everything, involved with everything. We are performing the mitzvah of Hashem Lekech, one of the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah, and we get rewarded for that, forever, for eternity, for thinking these thoughts, performing this mitzvah. So we shouldn't be light in our eyes, we're talking about. So this is Yesod. This is the foundation of the Torah, where you have to think about this week, to concentrate, to think as many times as possible. God, we believe in you. We know you're there. We know that you're creating the world every second. We know you're watching over us. You see what we're doing. And then, the next mitzvah we want to discuss is number 5, the mitzvah number 26 out of 630 mitzvahs. Lo yachol Elohim achevim, you should not have any other gods, any other powers. Well, he said, of course not. Who has another different power? We have to realize that a lot of us are guilty of having other gods. He said, what are we talking about? Thank you, doctor. Without you, I wouldn't be alive today. Without you, I wouldn't be alive today. Doctor, he's the one who keeps people alive. The doctor is only a puppet of doing what he's supposed to do for mankind, but he doesn't keep people alive. God keeps people alive, not the doctor. But we tend to look at the doctor. If it wouldn't be for him, if it wouldn't be for you, I couldn't have married off my daughter. Thank you for helping me out. It wouldn't be for him. God can't give people money if he wants to. He might have done it through this rich man who gave him the money, but it wasn't because of him. It wasn't because of the doctor. That's like having another God, another power. Look what he did for me. He did it. He didn't do it. Some people believe in themselves, they own themselves as a God. I did so-and-so when I was smart and I invested the money in the stock market and I chose the right thing and I. They're the own God. God themselves. I am powerful. I did it myself with my smart intellect. So it's not such a far-off idea. Don't have other gods, no other power. We're guilty at certain times. We all have other gods. What's the God's power? We think we believe in ourselves. We believe in other people, and this is no good. Even some people believe in pious people. Sometimes they believe in pious great rabbis. And they start believing they can do things for them. Or they're powerful. And that's not the case. We go to rabbis, not that they should help us when we're in need. We go to them, they should pray for us. Because since they're great, God listens to their prayers very readily. But we don't go to great people, pious people, for them to give us what we need. They're only God's shluchim, God's emissaries. They're hoping they're here to teach us and to pray for us. But there's only one power in the world that makes everything happen, and that's Hashem Echad. That's the number 2 thought we have to think this week, to realize that it's not people, it's not other powers in the world. It's only Hashem Echad. It's only one Hashem. And he does everything. But somebody might think that, of course, God is in charge, but he put other people in charge. He put other, maybe angels, that he gave them the power. He can take it back anytime if he wants. But he gave them the power. They should take care for him. He'll be able to take a vacation, so to speak. I'm taking the silly terms about God. And gave over to angels. They'll take care of certain things. We come to the next mitzvah of mitzvah number 6, 417. Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael. Hashem Echad. That familiar statement that we say every day, twice a day, we live by. Shema Yisrael. Hashem Echad. What does it mean, Hashem Echad? There's no other power equal to him, but somebody might think that he gave over his power to other people or to other angels that they should take care of things, and it's up to them. That's not the truth either. There's no creation that God gave over the power or the we say that they have the permission from God to act and to give and to help. They're tools of God. Tools of God. God, through them, God makes things happen. But they don't have in themselves any power on their own. This is all God's doing. He's behind everything that's happening. It's not happening by itself. It's not happening by others. So that's lo yilacha. We can't think that God has any partners, nor does he have any emissaries that he gave over power to them to do what he wants them to do. It's all coming from him. So this week we have to get clear in our minds. So we may say, well, the doctor is not a God himself, but God gave him the power to do. No. When the doctor cures somebody, God wants it to happen. It wouldn't be for God, the doctor couldn't do it on his own. He doesn't have the power to do it. That's Hashem Echad. Then we have mitzvah number 7, mitzvah of 432, the fear of God, Yiras Hashem, Yiras HaEinish. We always talk about there's two types of fear. There's a mitzvah in the Torah to fear God. What does it mean to fear God? We have to believe that God takes us to task. He gives punishment for those who are wicked, who do something wrong, and he gives reward for those who do things good. Schar v'onish it's called, reward and punishment. We have to realize that and take it into account. This is another one of the mitzvahs we can perform every second of the day for a person to realize that we have to act correctly and we can't talk the way we shouldn't talk and not do what we shouldn't do and not think what we shouldn't think. And God is there and he knows all about it. We have to, I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to be punished. Of course, when God punishes for our good, naturally. It's not like a parent punishing a child. It's for our good. Like the child is good. But there's something that if we keep that in mind, we'll keep away from doing the wrong thing. Keep away from sin. Or the other type of fear is awe, standing in awe of God. Not only fear of punishment, but realize that God is in our presence. We're in his presence. And he's the Almighty, and he's watching us. He's there, the King of all kings. If we sit down and think about it, there are great people who used to go out of the community for a time and just be not around people. Just go into the forest and go to the mountains and just be alone and feel that together with God, it gets a feeling of awe of going into without anybody around and just me and you, God, together, just the two of us. People used to do that. Some people do it today also sometimes. That they called this baidadus, it's called in Hebrew, going alone and just feeling the feeling that I'm away from everybody, society. There's nobody, only me and God together. To God, the two of us. It gives a big sense of awe and standing in front of the King of all kings, the creator of the world, the person who makes my heart beat. It keeps me alive every second. This is called Yiras HaReimamus, which is number 9. So this is a mitzvah that we could perform every day, every second of our life, to think that when God's presence, he punishes, he rewards, and he is there at all times. We're in his presence. We have the great honor and privilege to be in his presence. If we went to a great king and we be in his presence, we feel honored that we're able to be in the presence of a great king. Well, God is the King of all kings. And we are specially commanded that when we have a temptation to sin, to do something wrong, we're being lured into something we shouldn't be doing. We know we shouldn't say that what we're saying. We know we should give that charity. We know we should keep the Shabbos. We know, and we have that temptation. We especially, God says, now think of me. You have that temptation, and to counteract that temptation, realize that God's watching. He knows what we're doing. We're in his presence. That's what God wants to counteract temptations in the world, by realizing that we're in his presence. So this week we have to think about thoughts, yesod. This is all foundations of Judaism. that keeps us in line, keeps us doing what we should be doing, keeps us away from what we shouldn't be doing. If without the person having fear and awe of God, people would sin very readily. They wouldn't want to be afraid of. So why shouldn't they sin? Let them, the temptations get the best of them. So this is a yesod, this is foundation, how to keep us in line and not to stray from what we should be doing. And we have, this time is so short, I have to go through things pretty fast. Mitzvah number 418. To love God, Avas Hashem. To love God. What does it mean to love God? How do you come to love God? It's something that we really should talk about in much more length, but the words of the chinuch that we're quoting over here, we should, we translated it, delve into the creations, to his creations, and to his commandments, through which we'll have pleasure from this understanding. By delving into God's creations, this is the words of the Rambam also. Maimonides says this how to get to come to love God. To look into the creations of God and see how great they are, how much knowledge, how much wisdom is in God's creations. We feel, oh, what a great being God is. I wish I could get close to him. He's so great and so perfect and so outstanding and so amazing and great. I want to have a connection to him. It's like somebody, even if people that are blood and flesh, sometimes we want to get a connection to them because we're a great artist or a great singer. Oh, they sing so nice. I want to get to know him better. I want to close to him. I so enjoy hearing him sing so much, play the instrument so much, hear him speak so different ways. We, even by people that are blood and flesh, we compliment them and we realize their greatness. We want to get a connection to them. A person who looks into God's creations and his mitzvahs and the Torah, studies the Torah, sees the greatness of the Torah. We start thinking, well, this is fantastic. This is outstanding. This is something special. I want to get a connection to this being who created, who commanded, who made the Torah, who made the world. This is one way how to get Avos Hashem. Besides the fact we Avos Hashem that he created us and gives us everything that we have to Avos Hashem and come to love God for the fact that he created us and gives us what we have. We love him. This is the idea of the chinuch, to delve into the creation, into God's mitzvahs. This is very important for this week. Yesod, foundation of Judaism, Avos Hashem, to love Hashem. That's one of the most important laws in the Torah, to love Hashem, to realize who he is. And then we come to the mitzvah on 13 on our glossary sheet, 386, 87, 387, Zion. L'sasuru, we should not translate it. To not allow your intellect nor your body to be allured into temptations. And this is, we turn over the sheet on the other side, there's two parts of this mitzvah. Our intellect, we are forbidden to put concentration into theories which are foreign to the principles of the Torah. In other words, a person we know there's such a thing as evolution. We talked before, that ridiculous idea of evolution. And sometimes we look into it, we know what it's all about. But to delve into it and to study it and to go into all the details of it, we're not allowed to do that. Get involved in foreign philosophies. You go to learn the Chinese, what the Chinese believe in, and all their gods and all their statues and all their whatever different religions. They have all different funny kind of things that they believe in. We're not supposed to go, and we can sometimes a person may get an overview of just an idea. They worship the cow, whatever, the Hindus, whatever. But to go and study and delve and put our minds in concentration We're not allowed to do that because we might, for 1 second, think, well, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe even after think about it for a while, it doesn't make any sense. But on our way of thinking about it and delving into it, sometimes we could, for a while, think, well, maybe there's something to it. Nobody can come to the conclusion that a level-minded person to believe in evolution, but if you start studying deeper and deeper, maybe somebody for a second might think, in fact, for that second, he's going away from the true belief in the Torah and God. So we're not allowed to delve into foreign philosophies that are not synonymous with Jewish thought, Jewish ideas. And part of that mitzvah, that is not to concentrate and put our intellect into these foreign ideas. That's the second part of the mitzvah, who's constantly chases the pleasures of the world. There's no good reason which he is service creator. There's a person who goes after the temptations of the world. Some people just live for pleasure. They live for pleasure. They want food. They want cars. They want clothes. They want vacations. For what? For what reason? For me. Because I want that. I want to copyright. I want to get in this world what I can. He has transgressed this mitzvah. If a person has no good idea, no real purpose for it, just because it's animalistic feelings that he has. A person is an animal. Our body's an animal. And an animal wants to, we always tell you watch animals in the park, in the zoo, wherever they are. What do they do all the time? Eating and sleeping and eating. Is that what God created us for? Just to sleep and eat and do all animalistic actions and desires? Is that what we're here for? It has to have some kind of purpose. Where I'm eating in order to be healthy, to serve Hashem, to serve God. I'm not an animal. What am I buying clothes? Just to look nice. That's the whole thing. I want to buy clothes because I want to live like a person, like a human being. So I have to have clothes. I have to be warm. I have to be decent. Why do I have a car? I have a car because I want to go places, because I want to do a mitzvah and have to go for my livelihood. So I have a car. But just for a car, I want to have a car because it looks, just for the purpose of having a car itself, having a beautiful house, just for that in itself, and not thinking, well, I want a house, I want to put a mezuzah on the house, I want to do a mitzvah with this beautiful house, I'll put a mezuzah on, I'll invite guests into my house, I'll become a mitzvah with the house, something, I'll use a car to give people rides, take people to the hospital, I'll help out people. We want to take all the items of this world and put it in for a purpose, not only for animalistic reasons. That's one of the main purposes of the creation of the world. Everything that's here we can use for a mitzvah. Everything we can use not for a mitzvah. It's up to us. This is the last step we're talking about today. And this Yesod, this foundation of Judaism, not to live like animals, to live like human beings, like God created us, to take all the items of the world and use them for something, for a purpose, for a godly purpose, for something that's going to have eternal repercussions for the future, for that's going to have in a good way. That we have everything we have, food that we eat, so we make a blessing on the food. That's what eat food because it tastes good, because like an animal, that's the reason why I eat food. I want to be healthy, I want to make a bracha, I want to thank God for it. So I'm using the items in order for godly reasons. So these are the thoughts that we have to clear our minds this week. The Yesod, the foundation of Judaism, are thoughts. We went through tonight the number one, believe in God, His creation, His oneness, His connection to us. We don't want any other. We don't believe in any other powers in the world. Fear of God, love of God, and we should not get involved in false ideas of philosophies, and to live like human beings, not like animals. Everything we do should have a purpose, not just a purpose of just because we want to enjoy ourselves for no reason. There should be a reason, a purpose for enjoying yourselves. This is what we're talking about now. We have to work on these ideas to prepare us for Sinai, which is coming less than 2 weeks. Without this, how can we accept the Torah from Hashem if we don't have these pure thoughts that the whole Torah is based on? And now, we have any questions, Rabbi Mintz?
Oh, Ernie, perfect. What? He should come up? Oh, Ernie, come on. We're trying to work it differently so that people who are watching in the great wide world should see who's asking the questions.
Oh, now that's discouraging.
Roz, you'll ask. You're not shy.
No, I'm not going to.
You won't stand there?
No.
Okay, so okay, you'll sit here. Okay. We talk.
For the mic, so I know everyone can be shy the first day or two, but you'll get used to it, and you'll stand behind the podium. We'll try something to do. And then,
Hey, Ernie, come in. Ernie, we're giving you the hold on. We'll just move Ernie along. It's a lot easier. We'll see. We're scanning. There's a scan here, by the way.
So we have to get dressed up now?
Steven Spielberg has a scan here in the audience.
And put on makeup.
I was thinking very reluctantly about raising this question because I know it's been asked. I know it's been asked many times by other people, but I feel it warrants a repetition and I'd like to get the rabbi's reaction. The rabbi spoke about that we should worship God, we should love God, and that there should be no other gods before us. Whether it's a great doctor, a great professor, or a great rabbi. Is there such a thing as kind of skirting on a very delicate borderline when you talk about a movement such as the Lubavitch movement that had a great rabbi who people literally worship and continue to worship him to this very day? I'd like to know what your
People worship the rabbi. They worship him.
You used to go to him asking for his blessing and asking for his advice what they should do.
Well, that's not worshiping him. That's asking for his blessing.
He had the power to grant these requests.
Well, it depends what that means. If it depends his own power, that's terrible. If he has the power that he prays to God and God listens to him, that's a different story. What power does he have? That's the question.
Should I marry this woman? Should I go into this business?
Yeah, so he's a very wise person,
Yes.
and he gives good advice. But God gives him the intellect to give good advice. He doesn't have his own power to give advice. God gives him that power of advice. Depends how you look at it.
They went so far as to call him the Mashiach.
Well, Mashiach is not God. Mashiach is a person who was born from a father and a mother, and God is from the kingdom of David, and he's going to be the king, and he's not God. He's under God's power. He's Mashiach himself. So they said he was Mashiach. Mashiach is somebody, so that he's Mashiach. So,
I mean, they came by the thousands to stand in line to get his blessing, to get a dollar bill.
Right. Well, he's not the first rabbi that people stood in line to get the blessing, but that's all the blessings through God. He blesses them that God should give you this and God should give. What thing he says? Hashem, when he blesses people, he says, God should give you this and this. What's his blessing? I should give you. Rabbi, I never said that. I believe it was, I'll give you. He blesses them and says, God should give you these blessings. But it's not anybody who believes in that he gives the blessings, that's very bad, that he's transgressing this law. There are some people that believe that. I always talk about, many times I mentioned, that's why some people say you should not go to the cemetery to the graves of people of your family, because people go to the cemetery and start praying to the dead people. They help me out. Dead people can't help a person out. Only God helps people out. So only in their merit, we say, they should go and pray to God for us. Even people that are deceased can pray, but it's not any rabbi who's. I really, that's what I meant before. Some people go to rabbis. I was talking about that. I meant this. They go and they think the rabbis have power, but they don't have any power. They have power to pray to God to answer them.
Thank you.
We have an online question. We have an online question. Last week, as I was watching online, I know there was a lot of give and take about women and their role and their rights, etc. So you have a question: why does a woman who earns money, why does that belong to her husband? Why is that fair? And related, why, if a man dies and he has sons, do his daughters get nothing in terms of inheritance?
Well, it's not true that everything a woman earns goes to the husband. A certain amount of what she earns goes to the husband because it's a return for the husband's what he has to give to his wife. He has to take care of her and give her food and clothing and shelter. So what he does for her, she does back to him. That she, in return, gives things, brings into the house to cover what he does for her. If she makes more money than is covered by the husband, she keeps on it for herself, and she doesn't give it to the husband. That's a mistake people make, that they think that everything a woman makes goes to the husband. It's not true according to Jewish law. A certain amount of money goes to him, but it covers that which he is giving to her. He has to, if she's kidnapped, and he has to pay the ransom. So that, for the profits, the profits from her assets goes to the husband to cover a ransom that you have to pay. The ransom might be, who knows how, especially in times, certain times in Jewish history, that was very common for people, Jews, to be kidnapped, and they had to pay a ransom for them. And sometimes it was expensive. We're not allowed to pay too much of a ransom because they'll kidnap some more. So all kinds of laws, how much ransom allowed to pay. But today, you have in Mexico, people are kidnapped there all the time today. They're being for ransoms. It's not no joke. I was in Mexico a few times. They have big gates on the schools and because people come to kidnap kids, Jewish kids, whatever. And especially the Jews, because they feel they have a lot of money and they're very benevolent to help other people out. So they kidnap. So that's one thing. If a wife's kidnapped, the husband has to pay ransom, and the place of that, the profits of her assets go to the husband. Not the assets themselves belong to her. Or when she works and she has a certain amount of money that she makes, that goes for he has to give her food. So in turn for the food, what she earns, but if she earns more than the food, she keeps it for herself. So all these things are very fair, and they're very thought out, exactly what is give and take for each one. What was the second part of the question?
Why, if a man dies and he has sons, do women get no inheritance?
Oh, well, first of all, we look at daughters that they marry, their husbands take care of them, and that's why one part of the reason why they don't get the inheritance. Number two, the law is that if a man dies and he has daughters not married, they get their needs paid from the estate, and there's not enough money for the boys to inherit. The girls come before them, and all their needs are taken care of until they get married. And when they do get married, then a big part of his estate has to go to their marriage. People don't know these laws. I realize that if a man dies, his wife, the widow, and the children are fed and taken care of from the estate of the husband, and the boys cannot take anything from that. They have to leave it they have to go around beg to the extent it's not enough for the boys and the girls. The girls get the money, and the boys have to begging on the doors. They have to go beggars, but the girls, it's not right to go begging for the girls. So they get the money, and the boys have to. So they get all their needs taken care of until they get married. And when they get married, they get a big portion of the estate for them to marry them off. So it's not known to people the real laws of the Jewish boy-girls inheritance.
Okay.
So you said that it is wrong to say that a doctor or a drug saved the person's life, right? We can't say that.
God saved the life through the doctor and through the drug.
Of course. Ultimately, God is responsible. But you said one of the meanings of Shema Yisrael is that Hashem is the only one that has the influence and nothing else. So I have a question. What if, God forbid, a person's heart literally stops and he's pronounced dead, and all of a sudden, Baruch Hashem, an EMT guy comes and revives him with a defibrillator? Can you say that without that defibrillator, the guy would have been dead?
Well, the fact that they got a hold of somebody to come,
Ultimately, it's
God's
Hashem.
making it happen. If He didn't want the person to die, they wouldn't be able to get a hold of the person, and they wouldn't work the defibrillator. I mean, God's behind it, making it happen.
100%.
He wants us to do what we can to have Him do what He's doing. And we can't rely on miracles. God doesn't want to rely on miracles, so He gives us the opportunity and not opportunity, but we're commanded to take care of somebody who's dying. When anybody who's sick, we have to take care of them. But we have to do what we do, and God doesn't make miracles happen, but He'll make sure, if He wants a person to live, there'll be people around, there'll be medicine around, and God will make sure that the right things are around for the person to live.
Right. 100% agreed. It's ultimately 100% Hashem. But can you say that if it were not for that defibrillator, that the guy would be dead? Can you say that?
Yes, but there wasn't a defibrillator. God made sure it was there. It wouldn't
Right.
be for the, so
Right,
if
right.
God wouldn't have put it there, he would have died. But how did it get there? Because God put it there. He wanted it to
Of
be there.
course. Of course.
So
you
God's
can tell
it's not defibrillator saving him. Ultimately, through the God is doing it through those things, through the doctor, through the medicine, but it's a we have to have as a matter of fact, we have the special words in the Torah to allow a person to go a doctor, because without that we wouldn't be allowed to go to a doctor. How are we allowed that God made somebody sick? How are we allowed to go ahead and cure him? That's God's will. So have the special law, Rabbi. From here we learn that a doctor is allowed to work on someone to cure them. Without that special passage in the Torah, it would be forbidden for a doctor for a person to take medicine. We have to says, God, do it for me. You made me sick, make me well. A doctor, how does he come to the picture? God is the one behind it. So you have to have a special pasuk, Rabbi, to permit it. As a matter of fact, one of the wise men of the non-Jewish world asked the great rabbi if God loves poor people so much, so why does he make them poor? Why doesn't he take care of them? Why do you have to go and we have to give charity to poor people? Let God take care of them himself. Why do you have to? You need rich people, the same type of thing. A doctor for a person who's sick, money for rich men for people that are poor. So he asked them, so let God take care of them. So he answered them, because he wants to give people the opportunity to do a mitzvah in order to help the poor people. So he told them to do it. God could do it by himself. He can give money. A person can walk in the street and find $1 million. He can buy a lottery and win $1 million. God could do that. But he wanted people to have the mitzvah and the great merit of helping poor people. So he made people poor for the people to help them. So it's the same type of thing. He's the one who's making it happen. But he's doing it through people. A doctor can also get the mitzvah if he cures people. If he doesn't make too much money, he gets the mitzvah too.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. There's a commandment in the Torah to love a convert. It seems that many Orthodox Jews don't want to marry a convert. Is that violating that law? And why is that their attitude?
Well, it's not violating the law. It's we have a klal that the yichus, a person's background, his family tree, where he comes from, gives a certain greatness to his offspring afterwards, in the piety of grandparents and great-grandparents, and that greatness that they lived by, offspring that come in future generations have an advantage of spirituality, since their offspring are great people before them who gave their lives for Judaism, who put themselves on the line. I don't mean the lives literally, but they put so much effort into serving God, so they have a reward afterwards that their offspring in future generations will be closer to God. A convert who doesn't have that advantage of previous generations who were pious Jews, therefore he doesn't have that advantage of offspring afterwards to have the closest to God. So therefore a person has the right to say that since I come from that type of background of my grandparents, great-grandparents, they were such pious people and they put themselves on the line so many years and they suffered and they struggled keeping Shabbos and keeping all the laws of the Torah. So I want to take advantage of that for my offspring to be able to have that advantage. So they have a reason to do that. Some people, on the other hand, will marry a convert because they have an argument. Then, on the other hand, that all your past generations of pious Jews, they didn't have any big tests of becoming Jewish. They were born Jewish. This person who converted, he had to go against his whole family, his whole background, and he was somebody who's very special because he went against everything and he converted, and therefore he's very great in his own right. There's some people who say they want to marry converts because they have their greatness in that right, in that way, in that respect. So it depends how you look at it. So both trains of thought are correct. Each one has their own greatness to it. So it's something which it's not necessarily so that the person who will not marry a convert, some people will marry converts.
Okay, questions are coming in here fast and furious. Just we got an email from Michael Rhodes, a doctor who's a frequent questioner, and in response to Mikey, I'm a doctor and I have more than once had a patient dying in front of me. And more than once I've cried out, even said out loud, please Hashem, do not let this person die, and watch things turn around that very moment. He can snatch a life with power which defies understanding, and he can relent and allow that life to continue just as easily. I have seen it.
Here he goes, Rabbi wants to catch me, wants to get me. Here he goes again. Okay.
No. I'm assuming that Rabbi Mintz is not familiar with Waze. It's a GPS app. It's like a GPS app on the phone. It's basically, when a person, one of the features that Waze has, that when a person's driving, it gives you advance notice that there is there's a cop a few miles down the road. And it shows you exactly, on the screen, it shows you exactly where that cop is. So, not too long ago, I was taking a drive with my wife down the Garden State Parkway, and I passed a cop that was hiding behind some trees, and right away I touched my screen to alert everyone else. I mean, the way it works is that people that drive, all the people that are using this Waze, they have to, they let everyone else know that there's a cop in that spot. So it's dependent on all the users. That's how it gets the information. So I saw this cop, so I hit the screen, and to let everyone know that there's a cop hiding behind the trees. You can let them know if it's hiding, the cop is hiding, or if he's in the open. So my wife tells me, what are you doing? I say, what am I doing? I'm doing chesed. I want to help everyone out. There are people driving down the road. I don't want them to get a ticket. So I'm letting them know that there's a cop, so they should slow down. So my wife says, yeah, you think you're such a big tzaddik. You think you're so nice, you're helping those people not get a ticket. What about the people that are driving without responsibility, they're driving unsafe, and because of me, she says, because of you, they don't have to be careful. You're letting them know exactly when there is a cop, and they know when there isn't a cop because of you, and now they're going to just drive and they get that right. They know to slow down when there's a cop, and they know if there's no cop on the screen, that means there's no cop, so then they can speed. So you may be causing accidents.
I think it's a topic for a duel.
So I tell my wife, not when there's a cop, but the rest of the trip they'll speed. So I tell my wife, Listen, most people that speed, they're not driving unsafe. They're careful. They're just going a little above the speed limit. And I want to help them not get a ticket. There are some people that aren't careful, but those people, they're not busy looking at Waze, and they're going to slow down every time they see there's a cop on Waze, and it's not 100% accurate because someone has to put it in. What if no one puts it in? She says, yeah, that's true. The chances are slim, but if because of you one accident happens, it's not worth all the thousands of people that you save from tickets. Well, the people that are driving safe. Anyway, the conversation went on and on. I don't want to bore you all with the details, but my question to Rabbi Mintz is, who's right? Is my wife right, or am I right?
I think after that, nobody should be embarrassed about coming up to the podium and asking a question.
My answer is, I don't want to get involved in family politics.
We both agree that whatever Rabbi Mintz decides, then we'll stop arguing. This is going on already for a while. For whatever Rabbi Mintz says, we'll both accept.
You're both right. So you're right, and she's right. Shut up, you Gigi.
And they're both. The law is that you're allowed to, the law is you're allowed to do it. The law says you're allowed to signal people that there are police up ahead. That's what the courts found. It's
What is
part
that?
of freedom
What
of
is it?
speech. There used to be a thing about flashing lights. You used to flash your light, you have rights to let people know that there are police ahead. They tried stopping it, and the courts found that that's part of freedom of speech. You can let people know that there are police ahead.
But that's something to do with the halacha kind of thing.
No, he said it's not the law.
It's not against the law to do it, you're saying.
Right. It's not against the law to do it. And the people, at the end of the day, the people are slowing down. So that's what you want, right? It depends if speed limits are to make money or for safety. If they're for safety, then they're slowing down.
One second. You want to ask a question? Come on, we'll have you chat.
Let's come on.
What?
Is Rabbi Mintz answering the question?
I'm not getting involved in family disputes.
Okay. 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 Yisrael Schwartz, our good friend from Delhi, is concerned. He says Delhi is right next to the camp. I can understand that all is Hashem and nothing else. What about all the other stuff? And also, how do I get on with my day while trying to see Hashem and everything and be in awe? I mean, I'm like when I cross the street, I'm going to be mowed down by somebody because I'm busy contemplating God's greatness. How am I supposed to live my life if I'm constantly contemplating God's greatness in everything?
What was the first? What's the other stuff? What do you
The
mean,
first
what's
question
other
is
stuff?
if God, I mean, there seems to be a lot of things around.
Not
I guess
godly
that's his
things,
question.
Not godly things.
Not godly things.
Yeah, well, this is a great question by all the great philosophers, Jewish philosophers. How could there be bad in the world? If God's totally good, how could there be bad? We've mentioned this before. And the simple answer to that is that God can do everything, and He could cause bad in the world too, because the bad is ultimately made for good. The bad is made to challenge us and to have us be free-willed to choose good, to choose bad, which is the purpose of the world. So even though it seems it's bad, but bad was created for good. So actually it's good. So some people misuse it and choose to do bad, so that is not reflecting on God. So in the simple understanding that bad in the world is really for good. And the people who choose to do better, but that's their own fault. But ultimately it's good. And what's talking about what?
If you're contemplating, the second question was, if you're contemplating God all the time, chances are you can get hit by a car when you're crossing the street.
It depends how you contemplate God all the time.
I guess he
If you
plans
get-
on going to rapture. I don't know.
No, you don't. When you walk across the street, you're thinking that God is watching over you. God is making the cars come. You have to think about what's going on around you, not something else. Not get distracted. You use God for what's going on around you. cars are coming. Well, God created the cars. See, Hashem Lam Negdi Summit. Chavaz Avava says, how can we perform the mitzvah of I see God in front of me all the time? Hashem Lam Negdi Summit, King David says, right? It's in Tehillim. See, he says, by looking in everything around us, we look into the trees. God made the trees. He made the stars. He made the sky. He made people. So you're looking at everything and seeing God in everything that's going around us. You're crossing the street. Who made the street? Who made the pavement? Who made the cement? Who made the cars coming? Who made the people? So you get involved in what you're doing, not in something else. As you're watching what's happening, you're aware of what's happening, and you're on the contrary. What's happening around you is what you're seeing, how you see God in those things. So you don't forget about God. You don't forget what's going around you.
Okay. Come on, folks. Don't be bashful. Just come up here and ask some questions. Okay. We're going to get there. But we want some of the other people, some of the people who had questions that are just shy, we want them to come up.
Next week.
Next week? Okay, fine. It's vanity. You're not shy, you're just vain. I didn't think so. Okay, fine. I didn't think you were vain either, that's all.
No, I'm not saying either. I'm just joking.
Do I have to? Can I just?
Why can't people just stand where they are? Why can't they just stand up where they are? Why can't they stand? Why have to come up in front? Today, with today's technology, I'm sure it's not too hard to do it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of not so happy question, but it's one I have to
We'll try and
ask.
We'll try and make it happy.
Why did God put me here? Why am I alive?
Why you're here?
Yeah.
Because some people like you, and a lot of people enjoy your company, and a lot of people that you help all the time. You do things for people, and you have a great future in your life. You'll get married and have children, and you'll have a lot of people coming to your house to enjoy Shabbos and Yom Tov. You got a great life ahead of you, and a great life behind you. So very simple why God created you. Is that a good reason? The truth, is that a good reason?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Okay, we have an online question. A lot of I'm studying the Lords of Shabbat, and it seems to me that some of them aren't such a big deal. Does God really, the Torah says that you get killed for violating Shabbos, and tying a double knot or chopping something a little too thin, that seems like a little, not such a great, terrible thing to do to get killed for.
It's like the person who's in the underground bunkers where they control the bombs, hydrogen bombs and atomic bombs. If you push a button, phew, goes and kills a few hundred. The president went to Hiroshima recently talking about people were killed with one atomic bomb. One atomic bomb. How did that happen? The guy in the powder pushed one button, shoo, and killed a few 100,000 people. So you don't look at a simple action. He didn't have to jump up and down and to carry a heavy load. It comes to spirituality. Every little button and every little thing has a big consequence. And we don't, it's so little, so insignificant. It'd be very silly for a person to say about this world insignificant things. Like I always give also, maybe not as such a consequence, if you have your telephone and you push the wrong button, what's the difference? 2 or 3? What difference will if you get Australia or you get Tokyo? So what's the difference? If one little button, is there any difference? Big difference. So we see even in worldly things and mundane earthly things, one little button and one little action can make a big difference in thousands of miles, thousands of people. So when it comes to the Torah, there's no difference. Every little thing means a lot. And it's not a question that doesn't seem so significant. Everything's significant.
if there's a fly flying around the room, can I kill it, or do I have to try to trap it and take it out? And if it's a mosquito or a bee or something that bites, does it make a difference?
On Shabbos or during the week?
No, during the week.
During the week. But you're allowed to kill it, yes.
If it's a fly and it's harmless, can I just...
Well, if it's bothering you, so you're allowed to kill it. If you want to be a nice guy and open the door and let it fly out, okay, it's nice. It's nice of you. But you're not obligated to do so. According to the great Kabbalists, you don't kill even the flies for nothing, for no reason. You try not to kill them. But it's not a law like that. It's just a Kabbalist type of thing. But according to the law, I mean, you're allowed to kill an insect that's a nuisance. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Are we supposed to announce the Shabbat Buckles next week?
I guess you will at the end of class. At the end of the class, we'll announce it.
Oh,
Okay, we have a last question. Ties into the previous one. Those who are following the news know that in Cincinnati yesterday, a little kid climbed over a fence and fell into a gorilla cage. And the gorilla was manhandling the kid a bit. Well, there seems to be some disagreement about that, but the zoo says the gorilla was manhandling the kid. And they killed the gorilla. And it was a very rare gorilla, and people are very upset about this. And they really think that the mother should be shot, and things like that. That's one of the... She's gotten a lot of messages today. Cincinnati police are currently actually watching, or have been in touch with the mother to warn her that her life has been threatened online and elsewhere.
the mother's life was threatened?
Yes, because
What's
she's
the-
a bad mother, and they assert that she's a bad mother. Eyewitnesses seem to dispute that. The question is it right to kill a gorilla even if the gorilla is not doing anything, but there's a chance that the gorilla might harm this child? Is it correct to kill this rare and precious gorilla?
But what is it? Because she didn't watch her child, you mean? Because she didn't watch the child, that's why?
Her child should have been shot. The child is less important than the gorilla. The question is, let's say the gorilla wasn't actively harming the child, but there's a chance that the gorilla will harm the child because that's what gorillas do to humans. Should they have shot the gorilla?
Well, I think it's a sign of the times. It has to do with what we spoke about before, that people live like animals, and there were times in history of the world that people put animals in the same plane as human beings. The time of Cain and Abel, that was the philosophy that people are animals, and they're not more important than the animals themselves. And therefore, you're not allowed to bring a sacrifice of an animal, because who's a man to bring an animal as a sacrifice? And I think a sign of the times, people are very animalistic today. They're not spiritual, and therefore to look at animals is just almost as important as human beings. And therefore they say, well, why kill the gorilla? He's not doing anything, and so on. If people have the real respect and the esteem for human life, they realize that if a person's in danger, the animal doesn't play a role, and the animal should be eliminated if it means killing him. But if there is a danger for a human being, we naturally are going to kill the animal and save the human being, even if it's not 100% going to happen. But if there's danger, you kill the animal without any question.